things get more dire, also denying climate change in the middle of hurricanes and other natural disasters, none of this is going to benefit the GOP. This is why
I mean, could it get better? Could it get better? They're denying climate change in the middle of a hurricane. Who would do that? How could you? It's a walking talking point. This is shocking. Shockingly, not shocking that it's being said. It's shockingly funny to me that they don't hear it. They have no concept that this is ridiculous and absurd, and that it's absolutely predictable. Anyone who read that article, or I shouldn't say anyone, when I read the little blurb, I was like, well, I know how this is going to go. Like, you can just predict it. It's going down the checklist. And this is someone who's talking about autocratic authoritarianism and then unironically saying, how can you possibly deny the reality of climate change, which is one of the most autocratically authoritarian excuse factories for controlling people that has ever existed. The entirety of the world's economy is supposed to be hinged on one particular viewpoint on climate that has not manifested an actual, discernible, verifiable prediction in its history. The entirety of climate change is based on the idea, if you remember, that by 1990, we would be a giant sheet of ice. Or maybe it was by 95. I don't know. And then that didn't work. And they went back to the drawing board. And then if we didn't change everything, I think by 2005, we would be an oven. We would be... Don't say the joke. Don't say the joke. Don't say the joke. We would be a cooking appliance. That the earth... And if we didn't change, if we didn't implement it by 2011, if we didn't implement sufficient change and get sufficient carbon reduction, then we would be at the point of no return. There'd be no way to go back. Temperatures would never, ever come down. It'd just be the slow road into the biblical hell. And then it was 2015. And now it's what, 2024 or whatever. It's always this step thing. And then what they did, what they had to resort to at the end of the day was predicting everything. They had to predict everything. Be the result. Like, well, by global warming, we actually mean climate change. So when there's a record low temperature, well, that's climate change. When there's a record high temperature, that's climate change. If the temperature would be completely flat for a year, they'd say, yep, our models predicted this through climate change. Be like, you never talked about this. When the ocean is warm, climate change. When the ocean is cold, climate change. When there's a rise in sea levels, climate change. When the sea levels don't rise as much as predicted, that's climate change too. The increased hurricanes. Remember that was a big prediction. They said, man, we're going to have, it was after Katrina. They're like, yep, climate change. We're going to have increased intensity, hurricane activity. Hurricane Katrina is the first, and it's going to be like after that, it's going to be non-stop. We will not see calm years of hurricanes because climate change has done it. And then Ivan hit, and they're like, see, that was the next year, 2005, I think. And then I think it was 2006 to 2011, and there wasn't even a single hurricane landfall in the United States. There were some tropical storms. It goes like 6 years with none. It was supposed to be, I don't know if you guys remember this. It was supposed to be endless Gulf Coast devastation, unrelenting. What are the Category 4 and Category 5 hurricanes that will not stop because of climate change? That's what it was supposed to be. It's none of this has actually manifested. We have had hot years. We have had not so hot years. Both of them, they have claimed they're the hottest years ever on record everywhere. Due to global temperatures, they're the hottest ever. And you're like, but This year was this year is hot. Don't get me wrong. It's fucking hot in some places. It wasn't super hot early in the summer in Minnesota. Past couple days here, it's been 95 degrees to 100 degrees. Sucks for me. But when I was younger, story time. When I was younger, I was almost as gay as I am now. And I played soccer, right? I played soccer and I had a lot of fun. Just community soccer. I played 1 year in 9th grade in school, but I didn't really like the school program that much. I liked the community program better. And we played in Blaine, Minnesota. Every year they host an event called USA Cup. It's a kids World Cup, and teams from all over the world and all of the country can join. Now you're in Minnesota. Blaine's like an hour and 15 minutes away from where I grew up in Lakeville. It was easy for us to register, but teams coming in from Mexico, Cuba, Brazil, it was a little bit bigger deal. They'd bring in better teams. I mean, we weren't great at all by any stretch. I mean, I was on the team. Never been an impressive physical specimen. It's not like that changed as I got older. You can just imagine like this string bean kid running around, but it was fine. We had a lot of fun. I remember playing against Cuba, and it's 104 degrees. And that wasn't the only 100-degree day that year. And so it's been fucking hot in Minnesota because it's gotten up to 100 degrees. But that's not different than 20 years ago. Minnesota gets hot in the summertime. It gets fucking cold in the wintertime. It's always hot in the summer and it's always cold in the winter, a little bit each way. And then you got the spring and the fall, which are beautiful and mild and great. But it's like, just because it's hot now, it doesn't mean it wasn't hot 20 years ago. And I'm not sure why I'm supposed to accept that it's particularly hotter now when I could just go outside and go, yeah, I remember this. And this isn't happening like more. Actually, this year's kind of an aberrant year for that. It's a little hotter than normal. But it was a little hotter than normal then too. And they're like, oh my God, temperatures in Texas are reaching over 95 degrees. I'm like, over 95 degrees? Yeah. Yes, it's Texas. It's August, baby. It's fucking hot and humid in August in Texas. July is too. I don't know if you guys have tried it, but it's not recommended. This isn't new. But they act like every year that this is the new thing. And they're like, see, climate change is driving these temperatures. I'm like, N-word. It's just the fucking climate is driving these temperatures, and it has forever. All of temperature taking history since the 1850s has had Texas being hot. The way they measured it in Texas in 1850 was a little different. Now we use high-tech thermometers. Then they just measured how many black slaves died in the fields, but it still was hot. Are we on Rumble? Nope. We're going to keep the joke. It's staying in there. No, look, joking aside, it's always hot. It's always fucking hot in July and August in Texas. It's been that way so long. Bill Engvall had a joke. Do you remember the Blue Collar Comedy Tour? That thing where like 4 rednecks got together and made everybody remember why the South is funny. Bill Engvall had that joke about every time the sportscaster says, and I don't remember it being this humid in August ever before. He's like, he wants the sports guy to lean over and punch him and be like, last August. Here's a guess, probably next August, right? Because it's always hot and humid in August. You're not getting around that. That's just Texas. So anyway, but you can go down the fucking list. You knew climate change was going to come up.